I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone and tell you thank you for taking the time out to tune in to me. Because without you guys, I wouldn't have a show. So I'm always grateful when you take the time out to come in and hang out with me. So just give me a second. Let me set these privacy settings and then we'll get it going. Edit privacy. Okay. Well, tonight I'm going to change the monotony up. I know we've been talking about the school district all week, and I'll come back later tonight and talk about it some more with my good friend Nikki Kaiser. But I needed to touch on something because I love when I see the young people step out on faith and decide that they want to run for public office. Because one of the things that we have a problem with is Black representation in the political arena. We have a problem with honesty. We have a problem with character. We have a problem with trust. So now these younger people are starting to step up to the plate and they want to get these older people to pass the batons. Well, we got one on here tonight. My good friend Eugene Howard. He is actually running for mayor in MANVEL, Texas. And I know everybody will think, well, we're going to talk about the normal stuff and what you're going to do. And now we're going to talk about that, but we got some other stuff to talk about. See, because let me tell y'all what I don't do. I don't like foolishness. And I don't like when people attack candidates for no apparent reason. It really bothers me because of the representation aspect, as I said before. You never know when God is sending you a boat because it's going to flood. So he's sending you a boat in the form of qualified candidates. But it looks like every time we get a qualified African American that wants to run for something, then here come the Negroes or here come the prejudice people that got a problem with it. So Eugene, introduce yourself to the people, give them a little background, and I'm going to kick back for a second and let you do that.
I appreciate you, Mr. Monroe. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for everything you do. Your name is synonymous with accountability, with truth, and speaking truth to power. So I appreciate you giving me the platform just to speak with you this evening. Like he stated, my name is Eugene Howard. I am a seventh generation Texan, son of a Union soldier who decided that these chains are not meant for me and are not going to be meant for my family moving forward. And it's with that spirit that I've decided to pick up the torch and continue, unfortunately, the battle that my great grandfather started 176 years ago. Unfortunately, we're still fighting some of those same fights. So with that being said, I looked around. I'm a father of three beautiful children. My oldest is in college. I have a middle school son, and my princess is in elementary school, which means I'm totally vested in the educational experience of our children and of the community at large. And Mr. Monroe, I know how much you are invested in the educational experience of those children in HISD and in Houston, in the state and across the nation. So I know that's something me and you share that warrior spirit about. So what I decided to do at the time in Brazoria County, we had no representation. I reactivated the NAACP. I was the president of the Brazoria County NAACP, where we were able to get police reform on the books in every city, but the city that I'm running for mayor in, which is one of the reasons why I decided to run. We need the right kind of representation, the right kind of empathy when it comes to discretionary decisions. With that being said, I've done plenty of things in the community. Again, I'm a state officer. I'm over criminal justice for the NAACP for the state NAACP chapter. Again, I've worked tirelessly when it comes to civil rights, to equity, to when they mess with our children. When anyone's been wronged in the community, I've been one of those people that wanted to stand and fight and stand in the gap. That's something that my grandparents did for me. And I don't know 100 years from now what kind of state this country, if it still is a country, will be in. And I want to make sure that just like my great grandfather's Primus and Paul Thompson, decided they wanted to make a difference for somebody they would never meet, that's what I'm doing as well.
Well, let's
So this is why. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no. Let's jump into it because I'm gonna mute your mic while I'm talking. That way we don't have feedback. I'm gonna ask you because I put people in this hot seat all the time. Brazoria County, why would a black man want to run for public office in a county that's notorious for racism?
I'm glad you asked that question. If not me, then who? If we all wanted to stay, if everyone stayed in a comfortable hiding position, we'll still be on the back of the bus. Hell, we'll still be in chains. So I understand the responsibility as a black man. Once we've been educated, once we've been enlightened, once we're out of the ignorance of the day-to-day nuances of living just the black experience, we understand the greater good. And sometimes it takes sacrifices. I am very transparent. My mistakes and my successes are for public display. As they say, victory has 1,000 fathers and defeat is an orphan and despair is an orphan. But I stand on that record, the good and bad, because again, I understand what it's going to take for black people to move forward in the United States of America. And until we wake up and stop complaining, I'm big on sports, right? I love, for whatever reason, I love the Dallas Cowboys. The reason why I bring that up is because a lot of people can Monday morning quarterback, right? They can say, well, I would have, or this should be, but when the rubber meets the road, they're nowhere to be found. And Mr. Monroe, you know better than most that your voice is our weapon. And if we are silent, they will continue to kill us. Kill us. They don't want to get along. They want to destroy and eradicate our well-being on this land. And I am not a novice to that. I'm not saying that we can't move forward together trying to work with whoever wants to work with us. But to sit here and act like just because it's a racist place, hell, America was a racist place until a group of Negroes decided to try to make a difference. And I may not be successful, right? I understand that, but I want to know that my lineage, the people that come from the Howard bloodline, know that we're a bunch of fighters, man, and we're going to fight until God calls us home. So why do it? Because it needed to be done. Period.
We run an interactive show, so we get questions from the audience, and we've got a comment from the audience. I'll put it up. I'll see if you can see it. And it says the head chapter of the NAACP just denied us reparations. What do you have to say about that since you are a member of the NAACP?
Uh, I believe I am not a monolithic thinking. My only blind allegiance is to Jesus. Yes, I am a officer of the organization. I personally, Eugene Howard personally, am a fan of reparations. I believe every other group, every other ethnic group has gotten reparations from America, except for the ones who built it. I have no shame in admitting that. Now, again, the NAACP has to be political diverse, a big tent, right? And it's not just a black organization, it's a civil rights organization, a great civil rights organization. The problem is black people have been the most egregious people in this land since its conception. So the NAACP has been perceived as a black organization, but it is not. So when you expect a non-black organization to go along wholeheartedly with something that might just be for black people, Gary, you know this just as like I do. Politics is in everything, and in black people's politics as well. Every organization is not perfect. Sometimes we just have to use the vehicles that are presented to us at the time to move it forward. Real talk. But I personally believe in reparations. People died. We built this country from nothing, for nothing. And we need to be reconciled. Until America reconciles its most egregious act, we can't move forward. And I said that when I ran for Congress, and I'm not backtracking now.
Well, I used to be a member of the Houston branch of the NAACP, but I didn't see them involved in a lot of the issues that was going on. I will say that Dr. Carolyn Evans Shabazz, who's the city councilwoman in District D, she was over the educational committee. So, when I had educational issues, I'd go straight to her. But the overall NAACP has a perception of not, even though it's a civil rights organization and it covers the rainbow, a lot of people feel that the NAACP does nothing, let alone does nothing for Black people. What do you have to say to that?
I have to say, unfortunately, perception is reality. I'm running for office. People make lies up about me all the time. And unless I do things, unless my actions demonstrate something different, then it gives fodder to the misnomers. This is something I've stated to the NAACP officers in the state of Texas, that we need to reimagine the way we do things in the state of Texas. Now, again, I can't speak for the national branch. I understand the frustrations that various community members, or let's just keep it Black, the Black people, the Black community has with the NAACP. With that being said, two things can be true. The NAACP does need to work and clean up the image of being there for our Black people. Square business. With that being said, it's one of the only organizations that historically has been there for Black people. So two things can be true. I believe that we need to fix it, but I don't think it needs to go away. I think it just needs to be what you opened your segment by saying the new, it's a youth movement wanting wanting the baton to be passed. That is one of, if not the most present uh, information that the NAACP should hear. I don't know what else is. There are too many people that don't want to relinquish those titles and that power to move the organization in a direction that can be more appealing for the 40 and under crowd, right? I was a young president. When I was the president, I was the youngest president in the United States. And I'm not a young man like that, but that just shows you the reach. We need to reach our young people, period.
Well, I tell you what, man. Do you only, because you're in Brazoria, do you only work assignments in Brazoria, or can you work them anywhere?
I can work them anywhere in the state of Texas.
Okay, well, we're gonna have a conversation later. You're about civil rights. There's a good guy that has been painted as a racist, and his name is Nick Ozuna, the baseball coach at Bel Air High School. And
Okay.
I want to have a conversation with you about that, because this man has been out of, they've got him sitting in a warehouse for 13 months and no evidence whatsoever. Painted him as a racist, painted the kids as racist, when you had one kid that made a stupid decision. So I'll talk to you about that later. But
Look forward to it.
what is it like running for mayor? Where you getting the headaches from? Is it the white folk? Is the Black folk? I mean, where you getting the most headaches from out there in Brazoria County?
The most headaches is not from it wouldn't be from where you would think it would be from. A lot of the headaches come from the people that you would perceive as your allies, that should be your allies. It's something I like to say in elections, right? Once you get through a primary, or once the battle lines have been drawn, one of those two or three people are going to win. And the question you must ask yourself is, who's going to have your best interest in mind? Who can you get a meeting with? Who will understand your plight? Who can you put pressure on, right? Who is someone that is not in your echo chamber that can help you and move the agenda that you and maybe some other community members feel that a city or a state or this country should move forward with? So most of my headache is really from people that it shouldn't be from. I expect the other side to do what the other side does. Paint me as a boogeyman, criminal, uh, angry Black man. It's going to come through and destroy everything. I mean, that is expected. What should not be expected is some of the pushback we get from other members of our community, especially Black folks. Black on Black crime in this sense is very prevalent and is unfortunate. It's the crab in the bucket mentality. It's when you see one of us moving forward, if someone feels like you've surpassed what they've done, or you're getting more recognition than some of them, they get a little angry and want to paint you as something that you're not. And I stand on my track record on not only working across the aisles, but even working with those who maybe in the past we may have had a disagreement or we may have not seen eye to eye. My goal is always moving the community, the agenda forward. Life is too short, and it's not enough of us to be divided and win anything. Period. It's not. So that's where we are with that, and it's unfortunate, but we're going to keep moving forward, Gary. We're going to keep trying to love them with love. We're going to keep reaching out at some of the people we've reached out to personally, and we're just going to keep moving forward.
Well, you're a better man than me, because when they don't love me, I don't love them. That's all it boils down to. I ain't got time to be loving nobody that don't love me. But I will say this: there's something out there, and we keep saying we need to come together. Well, what's your strategy to try and get in office, make a difference, but at the same time, you may hit that spot where you can't come together with your own people. I think we know some days where we stand with certain people. We know where we stand. But like you say, with our own people, I'd love to work with some of these Black leaders, but I'm like Council Member Eric Mays from Flint, Michigan. I don't do handkerchief
Don't
head
fake
niggas.
it.
I don't do them. I can't digest them. I don't do them. So how do you plan on, winning this race, which you have a great shot of winning, but yet at the same time, you may not be able to pull your people together to pull it off?
Well, the first strategy is getting in front of the people, like presenting yourself. One thing I've never been afraid of is work. And again, the way you win elections is door knocking, is speaking to the constituents, letting them know that you're there for them. Uh, why I have been block walking and talking to some of my neighbors and some of the community members in this city, they feel like the city council doesn't listen to them. They don't feel like they are being represented, or they don't even know who their city council person is. And that's up to me as a representative that wants to represent you and your family's interests, to meet them where they're at. And as far as my people, the one thing about me is I am pro-Black. I believe Black is beautiful. With that being said, my Blackness and my pro-Blackness does not have any effect on or my willingness to work with people that are not Black. Because one thing I do know about Brazoria County, we ain't no majority. And I understand that we don't like the way the majority rules now. So we need to be better than our counterparts that hold power at this moment. Or what's the better difference, right? We must be better than those who weren't better to us. That's one thing. Hey, man, in the political game, when you decide you want to serve people, sometimes you have to have a short memory. You can't hold the grudges against those, because you might have to go across that bridge. But there is, like the Bible says, a time and place for everything. Sometimes you need to burn the bridge and burn them down, right? So I understand that as well. So my goal would be to just work hard, because I just don't want all the Black people in Manville to vote for me. I want the citizens of Manville to vote for me. Yes, I am a Black man. Yes, I am pro-Black, but I'm going to be pro-city. We are a city on the rise, and we're the least developed city in between two major cities along the 288 corridor, which is unacceptable, bro. Just the things that matter. We don't have a diverse police department, and I don't mean diverse by tokenism. I mean in the policies. I mean the inclusivity of small businesses, or the lack thereof in this city. Things of that nature. Legitimate change that changes lives and affects lives. Bringing in things other than just simply gas stations, right? Making sure that this is no longer a food desert, making sure that we ain't got to spend our tax dollars outside of the city to go get something to eat or to shop for clothing. There's no reason why this city on a rise can't rise to that occasion. And under my leadership, a new energy, a new vibrantness, a new way of thinking about solving some of the same issues they've had for years is warranted. And that's my plan. I plan to be very inclusive. Right now, you know this, there's a attack on DEI, there's attack on inclusivity. My thing is I am a product of someone being inclusive. So I want to make sure that we open the business economic opportunities and not just have tokenism to say this is a black face here, a Hispanic face here, an Asian face here. No, let's show it in our policies and our decorum and our willingness to lease out and do business with these various communities.
All right. Now, people, so that you can understand, none of this is scripted. He didn't get any questions beforehand. He's answering everything to the best of his ability. So, you know me, I pull them out when it comes to them questions. Brazoria County has a reputation of aiding and abetting the school to prison pipeline. An overabundance of African-American boys are being criminalized in Brazoria County. I at this moment, I have 2 clients out there, and the cases make no sense. So from a mayoral standpoint, how would you deal with working with the school system to stop the school to prison pipeline of African-American boys in Brazoria County?
So that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Unfortunately, I would continue the work I've been doing. And what I've been, and I'm not going to just use that as my answer. I'm going to give what I've been doing. Very unfortunate for me that I've had to go up to Alvin ISD's administration building on numerous occasions to fight this very fight. For example, just so the community can know what we're dealing with, the superintendent during the George Floyd apex, right? It happened during the pandemic and we're having graduations. She cited Dr. King at Manvel's and Shadow Creek's graduation, but she didn't cite anything from Dr. King at the others, at the Alvin or the other correspondence. And why do I bring that up? Because Shadow Creek High School and Manvel High School has a high population of not just Black students, but minority. It's a majority minority campus. So they're playing the politics games. But what I would plan to do as mayor, they have this thing called the Alvin Rise Mentoring Program. I want to make sure I am more vested in not only myself, but getting other Black leaders to maybe, if we can't work with them on that, developing our own mentoring program from the city. Even if I have to do a mayoral, Eugene Howard mayoral, for young Black leaders, the future leaders of America. Right now, our kids need help, and I'm willing to do any and everything. I have a son that's in 8th grade. I have a daughter that's in 1st grade. Again, I understand that my kids will not be a part of the prison to school pipeline. Like, again, my daughter's school at Don Jeter, these people at the time told me that they were making our children walk laps for being late to school. This is elementary kids. They can't make their parents get them to school any faster, but you're going to make them walk prison laps. And when I addressed this with the principal and the behavior specialist, they had to say, hold on, let's reevaluate that. The little nuanced things that have been acceptable before, we can't let be acceptable now. And until we speak up and speak out about those things, they continue to pistol whip our children for those who play spades or dominoes or one of those games. They continue to cheat us. So we got to make sure we hold them accountable. And that's what I would do. Whether I win this race or not, I'm always going to fight for our kids, G, period.
Now, when people think of Alvin, Manvel, Pearland, they think of an affluent community. But inside of those communities, there are a bunch of poor people. Do you plan on, with your administration, bringing some type of affordable housing to Manvel, Texas? Because there are some poor people that live in Manvel.
So to directly answer your question, I would do anything within my power. So just so the community knows and the audience knows, Manville is a strong council. So it's not just like I can stroke of a pen make it happen, but I will use that bully pulpit, that platform, and make sure it's an agenda item every time if it needs to be. You can't move forward in this society if you are worried about where you're going to be sleeping. That's just, your kids can't go to school, you can't go to work. It's just it's a necessity. And me and you know, as two black men on this Zoom tonight, that we own less housing as a community now than we did 60 years ago. So it is pivotal, not just for me, but for the community at large, to have affordable housing. And I believe that we can get creative working with the county and the city to make sure that Manville is a beacon of light and an example of what can be accomplished. When I got the George Floyd criminal justice plan passed in various cities, a lot of people told me that was impossible, especially in Brazoria County. It can be done. But I'm one of those men that believe that it's not those things that you believe that can be done, is what are you willing to do to make it happen? And instead of taking no for an answer, you negotiate and you appeal to a person's great will. And that's what we did. And that's what I would do when it comes to housing.
Food deserts, they seem to be in every city, every community almost that you can think of that is predominantly African American and poor communities. Um, I heard you earlier speaking on food deserts. And if there are food deserts in Manville, Texas, what is your plan to fix that problem? Because everybody should have access to good food, good vegetables
So
for everybody.
So great. Yes. So right now, they have done groundbreaking and have finally laid the parking lot slab for HEB to finally come to Manville. Now they've been talking about this HEB for almost over a decade, but it seems to finally be on its way. But it should be, if not the most important priority, it needs to be in the top three, because like you said, if we don't have equitable food, if we don't have good food, fresh produce, our children suffer, our community suffers, and that's not what this city on a rise should be about. So not only do we want the HEBs of the world, but we want more healthy products, more healthy living, and more healthy eating opportunities. And that's when the small businesses come in, whether it be the vegan option, whether it be other options, other foods. So that way, again, we can use our taxpayer dollars here in our own city.
From an African American standpoint, we are having a major problem across the U.S. reinventing Black Wall Street. Um, I think that children need to learn more about entrepreneurship in school, financial literacy in school. Do you plan on creating any programs to help with the uptick of creating more Black-owned businesses in Manville, Texas?
Yes, and guess what? I understand that, I'm not, Clark Kent Superman. I can't do it all by myself, but I have been connected with great leaders in Brazoria County, like for an example, the Black Leaders Collective, that has a group of Black entrepreneurs, Black teachers, Black business owners with that very mission. It's organizations like that. Hell, even the Brazoria County NAACP. We are going to work with the business acumen of those people to make sure, on my watch, I guarantee you, the African American economic prowess will not go unsupervised. It will not be pushed to the side. And I want to make sure every other community knows that I believe an equal share of the pie for the representation of our community. If you're a part of our community, you should deserve a seat at the table. And that is when it comes to the economic power, when it comes to the decision making. I am not a dictator, nor do I want Black power to subvert any other power. I just want to be, I'm just a powerful Black man, and I don't apologize for that. And with that intellect, with that intelligence, with that tenacity, I believe we can achieve everything we want to as a community.
Well, I tell you what, man, you rolling tonight, man. You rolling. The thing
I'm
about
just
it is,
speaking, Doc. I'm just
yeah,
speaking, Doc.
but that's what I like, is that you're not stumbling, you're not guessing. You know this stuff. You see what I'm saying? You just know that it just rolls off your chest and off your heart the way that it should roll off. Now there's a literacy problem that's taken over America, and I'm still trying to figure out, how did all the black kids get dumb in America at the same time? I'm just trying to figure it out. I've never figured it out, but I'm trying to figure it out. And when I think of literacy and I think of, the educational component, a lot of kids are not gravitating towards education because their parents sometimes are not as educated as they may want to be. Um, I know through the NAACP, you guys may have programs, or the Black Leaders Collective with my man Robert Williams and those good people
Shout
over
out to
there.
Robert Williams. Shout out to Robert. That's a good brother
No
right
doubt.
there.
Robert gonna raise hell when it ain't no hell to be raised. So,
Yes,
but I
sir.
tell you what, I love him to death. Do you have any ideologies of maybe creating something to help parents get GEDs, or help them go back to, say, Alvin Community College, to further along their education?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because like I'm going to piggyback to the George Floyd criminal justice restorative plan that we got passed here. One of the main components of that was the recruitment at the HBCUs, which is, for your audience that may not know, it's the historically black college and universities, right? To get a new influx of potential opportunities, potential employment, or in getting the potential of a new batch of people in. That is the same approach that I would take with this. I believe that yes, we need to develop those programs. And sometimes when I say programs, it could just be a family night out, something entertaining that catches the attention, that you can come through, your kids can play while mom and dad gets educated. One thing I want to say is the generation before us, which would be my parents, their parents couldn't go to school, but understood the freedom that getting an education would do. We've lost sight of that as a community, as a black community. We've got distracted with our reality TV, with our sports, with our music. We've lost sight of the prize. We got to remember, it was a piece of paper and the stroke of a pen that gave us our freedom. And if we are ignorant and not knowledgeable about the processes that happens to us as a community, they can rewrite that stuff again, and we could be back fighting for freedoms. And why do most people not understand that? It's the educational point. It's the reason they don't want to teach you economics the right way in high school. They don't want you to know the correct history of what really happened in this place, because it will make you do better. If you know better, you do better. So the best thing for them and for the system is to keep us ignorant, divided, and fighting against each other instead of coming together. This is more powerful than this anytime or any day of the week. And they don't want us to make this collective fist. They want us slap boxing each other. And we got to stop that. And that's something that we can tell our parents, because one thing that we all share the same planet, we all breathe the same air, and we all want our children to have great futures, no matter your race, creed, or religion. So that's what we need to get to, and that's what I believe the ideology should be moving forward when it comes to business, when it comes to education, when it comes to community.
Now, if I get this wrong, you correct me. I think that you are a Democrat.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the race that you're in, it's a nonpartisan race. And I think that's
Supposed to
where
be.
a lot of people get it messed up, because when they say nonpartisan, that means that Eugene can go to a meeting that's ran by a Republican group. He can accept donations from
a
the
Republican.
Republican side.
Yeah.
So here's the question, because a lot of leaders, or candidates, they answer it, but then they don't hold true to it. You're a Democrat, and I'm pretty sure that Manville is predominantly Republican.
Oh, it's red as can be, Doc.
Okay.
Come on now.
So
It's real
how
talk.
do you get the other side to buy in, to give you that vote, and make them understand it's not about Republican or Democrat for this race. It's about who's the best candidate. How do you get the Republican side, the red side, to support you in this run?
All I would say for great, thank you for that question. All I would say is my only blind allegiance is to Jesus. I am not a water bucket carrier for the Democratic Party. I believe in what's right. I believe in calling balls and strikes. One thing, Monroe, about my reputation, so to speak, in Brazoria County is I am the Black Democrat that has worked and will continue to work with Republicans. I could not get police reform done if I didn't have Republican support. So, like, let's be real about that. So, I would tell them is I am not interested in the gotcha moments. I'm not interested in the political gamesmanship. I am interested in moving our city, our community, and our people forward, progressively forward. And I don't mean that in the political sense, I mean progress, step by step by step. It might be a big step to a small step to a bigger step. Sometimes you might have to kind of reevaluate, but we got to keep moving forward. Time moves forward, not backwards for a reason. We should follow that mantra. And I'm willing to work with anybody that wants to make this city and this community a better place. I could give a damn what your political affiliation is, who you love, who you sleep with at night. That's no concern of mine. My concern is, can we work together to come up with a compromise that most benefits our community at large, period.
So I'm gonna ask the question that I know some people would never ask in public. They don't have the balls to ask it, but they feel that way. What do you say to the people who are not of African American descent? They're not Black. That say we don't want a nigga for mayor over Manville.
What I say to them?
Yeah.
I say, well, I appreciate your opinion, and I hopefully when I win, I can earn your support, and I will continuously to work hard to try to gain your support. In this business, I understand. I've been Black my whole life. G, it's a lot of places they don't like us and want us, and let's be real. So sometimes we got to make our way, and I'm not one of those brothers to go along to get along. You ain't getting no tokenism here. I am true, authentic, myself, and I will not change that. And I believe God is on my side with that. He can't take lukewarmness. He said it in His Word. And to my Republican counterparts, that y'all know that good old book that you like to talk about. He said He don't like lukewarmness. You would want somebody that's authentic, real, regardless if you agree with them or not. You will always know where I stand, and I'm never going to be above reproach. I believe that it's about communication, dialogue, and getting an understanding, even if the understanding is that we can't agree, but we can agree to disagree cordially. We don't have to bicker. We don't necessarily have to fight. We can try to get along, because that's what this democratic process is about. If we want to fight, we can go put on gloves and go in a boxing ring and come out with a winner. If we're not doing that, let's try to come up with a reasonable compromise. And if you don't like what I have to say, you have two other options to vote for. Thank you so much.
Well, we got a question from Robert Williams. Manville is the only police department in Brazoria County that did not sign on to the NAACP George Floyd Policing Act. Do you plan to continue to work with the Manville Police Department to get the plan implemented, or will your strategy be baby steps by starting community policing and other components of CJR to show them restorative justice works?
I believe, appreciate the question, Mr. Williams. I believe that I'm going to do both. I believe that the city should still implement the George Floyd Restorative Criminal Justice Plan, even though I was told that they will never have a criminal's name or anything for the city. I believe that this city is bigger than that. I believe that we have better people, and I believe the representation of the new council would see the need, because the George Floyd Criminal Justice Plan is an agreement not between them and the organization, but the community at large. And when you have the main police department for Brazoria County, if you want to think about in population size, Pearland, the adjacent city, and Owl Colony, another adjacent city, and Alvin, and all of these places are willing to accept this as an agreement to show the community that we want to work with you. that is one of my goals, to make sure that this community knows, and I want Manville PD to know this and hear this clear. It would be a new day. We will be more community policing. We will not antagonize. There's a lot of neighbors who feel like they don't even like to drive their cars or certain type of cars in our neighborhood because we're pulled over. That stuff will stop. We will make sure that everyone gets free and equitable justice. It's something that is a God-given constitutional right that I believe that every elected official should uphold. When we take our oaths, everyone has to uphold that Constitution, right? Whether you run for school board or the president of the United States. So that's what I would do. And yes, so I'm still disappointed in Manville's PD's unwillingness to accept the plan. And it is one of the reasons why I decided to run for mayor, because I believe that until we have full trust in law enforcement, we can't move forward as a community. And even though I've had my run-ins with Manville PD, I'm still willing to work with them, period.
Well, you know what, man? I'm gonna say this because I don't do racism on any level. I didn't know George personally. He went to the same high school I did, graduated about 6 years after me. And I think that if George didn't have a criminal background, they would still have a problem with it being George Floyd. I mean, that's just the way that society is. And the thing is we can't move forward as a people, as a country, until we deal with this self-hatred that we have inside. I know that a lot of Black people and a lot of white people don't like my demeanor. They don't like it. And I mean, the thing is it's not that I'm not intelligent. I'm very intelligent. Some people just don't like a strong Black man.
Yeah.
They don't like an intelligent Black man telling them what to do. You see what I'm saying? And it's sad because the only thing I can tell them is slavery is over, bro.
And we ain't going back. We ain't going back.
I can't get an Uber back to Africa. And like I tell people, and I've had people tell me, you know, you need to go back to your country. Man, I
am in my country.
Davis Hospital in Fifth Ward. So unless I'm going across the bridge to Fifth Ward, I
ain't got nowhere else to go.
I'm not going nowhere.
I'm at home.
See, that's the thing. You know, everybody won't change from the African American community, but it seems like people don't want change from the other communities. No, we can stay the same. Y'all the ones that need to change. You know, and at the end of the day, Black people ain't going nowhere. Let's get that straight. We ain't going nowhere.
Nope.
I'm not from Africa. And I say
this.
Some people say it, and I say I'm not. Well, you know, you a person of color. I ain't no person of color. I'm Black.
I'm Black. I'm Black and beautiful. I'm with you.
I'm not a rainbow.
To me, they have diluted that persons of color to take away from being Black. I'm Black first. I ain't changing this.
But have you noticed, minus, and we'll call them that because it switched, the Mexicans. All of a sudden, they're not Mexican anymore.
They're persons of color. They're persons of color. Oh, yes.
Now they're persons of color. So now you looping us all in, but on the applications, when my kids have to fill out a job, they got all these boxes here and it don't have a box that say person of color. So I'm Black 24/7. Whether they like it or not, you are Black, you're a candidate, you're a qualified candidate that's running for mayor. And I'm going to be honest with you, some of these old Negro spirituals and some of these old white folk spirituals, they need to go sit down somewhere because you didn't have your time. And it's time to have some new, fresh ideas. You know, you can campaign nowadays using social media.
Yeah.
They didn't have social media back in the Flintstone eras when they were campaigning. You see what I'm saying? The people used to say the only thing that get old is clothes. Now, ideas get old too.
Quickly.
And it's time for fresh, new ideas. And for those that don't want that, you're killing the fabric of this country. You're killing it. when you don't want to accept that change has to come. You know, I'm an old school rap fan, and Big Mike said it best on his album, Something Serious. Time come with change, change come with time.
Yes, sir.
And we cannot keep doing things the old way, expecting new results.
Hey, guess what? They changed it up on us. They changed it up on us, and they being successful. We go about old playbook, and they didn't move the playbook forward. One thing that I want to say, because I know you don't mind the controversy, right? I said, well, one of the best things that Donald Trump 45 did for us, he made people get where you were. He made everyone stand where you were. Where if you're over here, you're over here. If you're over there, you're over there. And as Black people, that's one thing that we've always said. That just keep it 100 with us. Well, we had somebody good or for bad who kept it 100. And that's something that people ask, why did the Black community at times like 45? Was that right there? We like real people, authentic. It is what it is. Sometimes you got to be a bull in a china shop, right? Sometimes we understand that. And I believe, again, the reason why 45 was able to be successful is because he didn't look like me and Eugene. He didn't have our complexion. He had the right complexion to have that attitude. But I want us to understand we don't have to bow down, continue to have our same pride in ourselves, and we can move forward, period, because we ain't going nowhere. And guess what? The census is telling us white people stop having babies. So this is going to be a majority minority in a minute anyways. So,
well, they need to, if they have to increase the number of kids that they need to have to get the population back up, go get your freak on. That's what you need to do. Go get your freak on.
Leave us alone and go get your freak on. Yes, sir, Doc.
We gonna jump into this because it's a hot topic right now. School vouchers. My man, Greg Abbott. And you know what? A lot of people don't even realize is you're a Democrat, I'm a Republican, and we get along fine. You know, we get along fine.
Because it ain't about that.
So we know that the Republican Party in the state of Texas, the legislation is in session right now. Yep. And school vouchers is the hottest topic of a lot of bills. On top of that, a lot of transgender bills that they're trying to kill. Where do you stand on school vouchers when, you know, a lot of people are saying that the governor's pushing this to basically destroy Black education?
Well, I will say he is pushing that to destroy Black public education, because what I believe that the vouchers is a reward for those families that can afford to maintain the private school experience, right? A lot of parents, even in the affluent communities, that 10, 15,000 up front can front them enough time to keep Sally and Billy and Tommy in those said schools that they don't have the equity or that $10,000 laying around in August, which is their prerogative. If that's what they want to do, that's what school choice is about. But one thing I will say is, Gary, I'm a fine product of public schools. Hell, I went to HISD and Fort Bend. I will say this: our school system is broken, but it's not because of the students or our teachers. We ain't funding our students. We're not funding our campuses, and we're not funding and putting the equity into education that it deserves. So until they continue to care about, for instance, at my school, there's no reason any child on any campus should ever be hungry, period. We are too rich of a nation. Texas is too rich of a state for any child to have to worry about eating, going to school, whether mama or daddy got the money or not. We have our priorities in the wrong place. And until we get them in the right place, we're always going to fight about this. Vouchers are a way for a certain populace, whether it be Republican or affluent, because you got some Black folks who will do the same thing with these vouchers, right? That don't want their quote unquote child to be subjugated to the public school experience because of CRT or whatever the new boogeyman is, right? That's what this is about. I believe our focus should be on the children. If we make every campus the standard, it shouldn't matter where they go. But just like with school busing, right, in the 70s, when we started having to integrate and send the black kids to the white schools, white flight happened. And this is just white flight 2.0.
Well, I'll say this here for those that are out there watching and listening. White flight actually happened right after Brown versus the Board of Education.
Right, right.
That's the reason why school choice was created.
See,
So that
that's why I use the term. That's why I
so
use
that,
the term. Yep.
so that people, that you had some white people, especially up around the Carolinas, that did not want their children, their white children, to go to school with black children.
Period.
And they actually kept them out of school for over 5 years.
Yep.
And then when they found out that wasn't going to work, they created school choice. So I always challenge people, whether you're Republican or Democrat, black, white, whatever, how do you expect to run a modern day school system when you're running it under Jim Crow laws?
Come on now.
I don't care if they get mad. It's the truth.
Hey, I'm with you on that.
It's the you can put lipstick on a pig all you want,
but it's still a damn
but he's
pig.
still gonna be a pig.
That's it.
And that's all it boils down to. Now, I love school choice. I believe that if a school is not performing, that a parent should have the right to take their child to any school that they choose to take them to get a quality education.
Agreed.
And I also feel that vouchers will not affect the African-American community as much as they think. Because if they're going to give you, and I think that right now they're talking about $8,000. I thought it was 10
between 8 and 10, but let's say 8. Let's go 8.
Let's say it's 8. But the tuition is actually 20.
Right.
What black families we know got $12,000 laying around?
Well, see, I agree. That's why I said it's a reward for those who can subsidize that front end, right? They just giving you the front end to where you can make up the back end.
But see, what they didn't tell them, we'll give you the voucher if you got enough to cover the actual cost, cool, but we still need them school taxes for them public schools anyway.
Hey, man.
They ain't telling them the whole game.
They not. I'm with you. That's why that's why I agree with you that this is not going to be the issue that they want it to be. This is red meat for that base. It's red meat for his political gains. He might be running for president here.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think the vouchers are gonna pass because the rural counties feel they're gonna get taxed harder, and the rural counties are the counties that actually carry, Governor Greg Abbott over in most of his elections. So it ain't the big cities.
I live in a rural county.
The big cities are basically
Missouri County.
Exactly.
Right. Missouri County
I don't think the vouchers are going to do what they think they're going to do. It just, I don't see it happening. Now, I gotta touch on this because we touching on those sensitive subjects, and they got a lot of bills that have been filed, and a lot of talk about killing bills that have been filed in regards to the transgender community. I know where I stand on it, but where do you stand on these rights or these new bills as it pertains to the transgender community?
So I just believe every person should be treated with dignity and respect, and that's my stance on that. I am not in a confirming or condemning mode right now. I believe if everyone's treated with dignity and respect, that's the start. Now, I think a lot of times that they aren't treated that way with dignity and respect, and that comes into the form of hate and so much of those things. But I'm gonna be honest with you, G. I'm a black man in America. Like, I can't be overly concerned about everyone else's issues when they still don't want to address the issues that we've been plaguing us for hundreds of years. The great Dr. Farrakhan said this when they said he was anti-Semitic. He said, "We weep for Jews. I weep. I am concerned for the transgender community, but who weeps for us? Who's concerned about the issues that affect me and my family? Everybody wants the black community to stand up for y'all when it's time for y'all civil liberties that have been plighted against. Well, we want that same in return. So that's my stance on that. I am not against anyone getting laws favorably passed for them. They need to lobby and need to work on it. That's my stance on that.
Well, my stance is simple. If you a boy, Damon, you need
You a
to play
boy.
boy sports. I'm just being straight up, man, because you can take the weakest boy and put him in girls' track. He could be
And
the
he gonna
worst
and he gonna
boy
praise them. Yeah,
track runner,
yeah.
and he will beat all those girls. That's not fair. You
I
know,
agree.
as far as I'm real good at staying in my lane. As far as what about the surgeries? Look, man, if it goes against anything in the Bible, then I'm not
That's
rocking with
it.
it.
And that's your
I'm
belief
not the
system.
neighborhood pastor that's trying to fill up the collection plate. I'm gonna say what I say, man. If it goes against anything in the Bible, then I'm not for it. And I don't care if people get mad about that. Well, I'm gonna
Well,
tell
you know
you what,
what?
man. Go ahead.
Us as believers, got to be willing to stand on our principle. That's what the Bible says. It's a two-edged sword. It cuts in and coming out. So again, I'm with you, Doc. That's why I'm gonna say I'm gonna treat everybody with love, dignity, and respect. That's what the book told me to do. It told me I have to love you. I don't gotta like you. I don't even gotta like what you're doing, but I'm just supposed to love you as my brother and sister, and I can do that even if I don't like what you're doing.
Hold on a second.
No doubt.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you what, man. I think that that you represent what America needs right now. You're a strong man, and we need strong men in key positions. And at the end of the day, we gotta get good people like you in office. We gotta get good people like me in office that really actually care. That's not there for the money. You know, you've given so much of your time for free. And a lot of people have never realized that. The people that's talking down on you, they have never realized that maybe the reason they're not getting profiled is because of the work that you did, because of the work that Robert Williams did, you know, Coretta, you know, all those good people have done. And a lot of people don't realize that. But I think we're gonna have to, like Eric Mays was here the other night from Flint, Michigan, man. And you know, the one thing I like about him is he says what he means and he means what he says. And that's what it is with him. He's not going to cut a corner to try and, you know, become one of the status quo. So hopefully, you know, when you win this race, that you continue to do the good work and you don't change up on the people, because
Oh,
that's the
hey,
biggest thing for me. These old
listen, listen,
handkerchief
listen, listen,
wearing big
listen.
rolls, they get in office.
And they
Soon as
change
they
up
get
on
in,
you.
they hold on, bro. Soon as they get in, they motherfucking number change. They ain't coming to the hood no more. They don't know you when you're in public.
Yeah,
Don't do
yeah.
that to you peoples, man.
So listen. I promise you and anybody watching, I'm whether you like me or not, I am consistently myself every day. Like win, lose, or draw, good days, bad days. I don't get Hollywood. I hate Hollywood people, man. Just keep it real. Keep it a buck. Um, Slow boogie is my thing, man. I'm always gonna be like that, no matter how I'm gonna be the president of the United States. Still talking about, hey, what it is, man. Slow boogie, baby. It's just where we are. Don't lose sight of who you are. That's what happens to these people. They believe they're bigger and more important than they truly are, and I will never do that because without God, I'm nobody. So I'm just
Well,
that's
what we gonna do is we're gonna do a follow-up interview as you get closer to election day. Let the people know when early voting starts and when is
early
the
vote.
actual election day.
Early voting starts for me April 24th. Again, April 24th. One more time, April 24th. And election day is May 6th. May 6th. May 6th. So this is your municipality elections. So we're not in November. These are the May elections, your school boards and your city councils.
I want you to
all
send.
over the state.
I want you to send words to your opponents, because I don't know them. They're welcome to come on and sit down with me.
I
Anytime
don't
they
know if
get
they want
ready,
that smoke. I'll surely make sure
and
my
let them
team
know
will make sure.
we can do a full debate. I'd love to do a full debate, but most of the time,
They don't show
folks that
up.
don't know nothing, they scared to show up.
I,
It take guts to sit on the other side of that screen for me. And a lot of these people don't have the guts that it take because they too busy trying to BS the people.
yeah.
My brother, we appreciate everything that you do on a daily basis. And I'm gonna let y'all know right now. I mean, because I do my own slate of candidates. I'm gonna endorse Eugene Howard for mayor of Manville. I'm gonna put some muscle behind this young dude because I believe in him. I've just sat back, I've watched his work, and I think he's what a city like Manville needs. He needs to be over that city and win that election for the Emmett Tills. He needs to be the mayor of Manville for the James Birds. These people come from situations similar to what people deal with in Brazoria County on a daily basis. So it's time to not turn Brazoria County blue, not turn it red, but turn it black. And that's what it is. It's the war zone. And I'm the 5-star general. And I'll see you in a minute. I'm coming back with Nikki Kaiser. We're going to talk HISD. I'll holler at y'all.
Thank you. Be blessed.